So today's video is a little bit different. The kind folks over at Zhiyun sent us a new gimbal to play around with. It's the Zhiyun Weebill 3S. And in this video we just wanted to play around with it and try a few cinematic style shots because that's pretty much what gimbals are for. So as you know, we love making our videos cinematic, and the last video on the channel was actually about that exact topic. How to make your videos sort of feel like a movie, feel cinematic, etc, etc. If you want to check it out, the link will be one of the top corners up here. But we normally do static shots, I would say 99% of the time in our videos, and I do love how those look. But recently I've been watching a lot of different videos where it's taking that cinematic feeling and look to the next level. A lot of creators making their videos really cinematic using gimbals, dollies, sliders and all that stuff. So kind of the next step up, I would say, when it comes to like camera movement. And since Zhiyun sent us over this gimbal, I thought it would be fun to just give it a go, play around with things, try a few of those cinematic shots that we otherwise can't do because we didn't have the gimbal. But now we can, so just wanted to see how hard it was to do and see what kind of results that we could get. This gimbal also has a little light, which is kind of cool. I could see this coming in handy if you shoot weddings or something. Dance floor stuff. But for me, for now, it's just going to be a little side light. But anyway, the first shot that we wanted to try was the pretty straightforward walking shot. So for this first shot, Christina set the gimbal to lock mode, and she just tried to walk backwards, keeping the sort of same pace as I was. To be fair to her, this shot probably sounds and looks a lot easier than it is. Walking backwards and staying in a straight line while holding the gimbal and trying to keep your framing right is definitely tricky. It did take about 4 or 5 attempts, but on the 5th one we got a shot that I think turned out pretty nicely. I mean, ideally we wanted me to be in the centre of the frame the entire time, but like I said, it was quite tricky, and I still think this one looks pretty good though. I wasn't sure if adding warp stabilizer in post would help these or not, because warp stabilizer does tend to struggle when there's too much movement with the shot. And with this one, it was warping things quite a bit too much, so I dropped the percentage down to like 5. I know you can't really notice it. I certainly wouldn't be relying on warp stabilizer to help you out too much with shots like this. There's just simply too much movement. It is a little strange to me how using shots like this just makes things look so cinematic. I mean, I understand why, because that's what it looks like in the movies, but I still find it kind of strange that just adding that movement makes it just feel so much more cinematic. The second shot we tried was a bit more technical, you could say. It just involved more movement and a change of framing halfway through the shot. By the way, we don't have a monitor on the camera, as you can see, which would make these shots a lot easier. I think it would just be easier to keep an eye on framing if you have a bigger monitor in front of you rather than a tiny little flip out screen. For this one, Christina had the gimbal set to lock mode again. And you can see from this GoPro shot what we were trying to do here. And to be fair to Christina, she got this one on the 3rd try, I believe, so things were improving straight away. I do really like this one. It's a bit more dynamic and you kind of get 2 shots combined into one. For this one, I didn't use any warp stabilizer because it just couldn't handle the movement and was just warping things all over the place. But I don't think it really needs it. The gimbal worked really nicely for this one. And finally, the 3rd shot we tried was maybe a little bit ambitious, to say the least, especially since we haven't used gimbals that much and this was our first time using this one. We wanted to try a full 360 shot to give a really dramatic result, and we filmed this one in 60 frames per second so we could do a little speed ramping throughout the shot. For this one, Christina had the gimbal set to pan follow mode. And after 3 or 4 takes this time, we got something that I think worked. It's certainly not perfect, but again, to be fair to Christina, doing a 360 shot around someone while trying to keep the framing centered and keep the same distance from me is not easy. I did add warp stabilizer in post for this one, but literally only set it to like 5% I think, because any more and the warping was just too noticeable. I do still really like how this one turned out, and I think if we had a few more takes or maybe tried it again, we could really nail it. It's pretty dramatic looking, and yeah, just a really cinematic shot that allows you to include a lot of the background. If we had had maybe some lens flare from the sun in this one too, it would have added a really cool look. The sun was kind of going down over the hills at this point, so it was getting a little bit dull, but yeah, I still like how it turned out, and for a first time, I think it was okay. And that was that for our first time trying out the Zhiyun Weebill 3S for cinematic video shots. Those type of shots I was trying are definitely something I would like to try and incorporate in the videos from time to time. Maybe not every video, but just incorporating some of those shots to create really cinematic little sequences, whether that's like an intro to a photo vlog or something like that. That just allows me to think differently about creating a cinematic sequence, because like I said, I always use the tripod, and I do love those static shots. I think it's sort of, I wouldn't say my style, but it kind of is. It's the style I like to use, but this is fun to kind of play around with, and I'm really happy with how those results came out, even though they definitely could be better. It's kind of exciting because it opens up a whole other variety of shots that we wouldn't really have tried before. Hopefully you maybe learned something from this one, or at the very least enjoyed some of those shots, even though there was only a few and they're quite short. But yeah, if you did, maybe give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And thanks to Zhiyun for sending us over the Weebill 3S, because pretty cool bit of kit, and we look forward to using it in future videos. But that's pretty much it for this one, so yeah, as we always say, take it easy, don't be a stranger. My office is still pretty bland. Still the holds for my shelves, which are not up, and my photos also aren't up, so apologies for the very, very plain background here, but we'll get there. Whoa, I didn't realise that this got that bright. Kind of a cool little side light. I need a few lamps for the office to give this nice ambient glow in the background.